What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another reaction video. We got Bryce Young is becoming the biggest bust in NFL history. Now, I don't really think that is true. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people have been like, bro, he's trash. He's, you know what I'm saying? He's garbage and shit like that. But look at what he's in, bro. Like, and I guarantee you, I guarantee you, bro, if CJ Stroud was drafted to the Panthers, he would have been doing just as bad as Bryce Young is, bro. Let's keep it a buck, bro. The Panthers are just not a good organization that can just develop QBs. You know what I'm saying? Same goes for the Browns. Same goes for the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, they're not a team that can really develop quarterbacks and, you know what I'm saying, just talent in general, bro. You know what I'm saying? Now that's not always the case with them because, you know what I'm saying, they drafted Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying? He ended up being one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But other than that, bro, who else is there to say that they really molded a good QB? You feel me? But I think Bryce Young is still really good, bro. He's just not in a great position right now, and plus his offensive line is absolutely horrific, gang. So I think Bryce Young, if he does goes to another team, you know what I'm saying, because the Panthers, like, I literally think that they might go 0-17 this year. You know what I'm saying? If they do, they're gonna have the #1 overall pick regardless, I feel like. And with it being, you know what I'm saying, a stacked quarterback class in general, will they move on from Bryce Young and draft a new QB, or will they stick with him? Because it's going to be tough because you got guys like Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, you got Carson Beck, you got Shador Sanders, you got Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward. You know what I'm saying? This is a stacked QB class, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what they're gonna do, but it feels like because Bryce Young just got benched, so maybe it's moving in the direction that they might be trying to move on from Bryce Young. Maybe trade him to, like, I don't know, the damn Raiders or some shit. You know what I'm saying? A team that actually needs a QB. But I feel like he should go somewhere where he can be good and he can develop into being a great quarterback, because as an Alabama fan, bro, we haven't really had great success in the NFL with Alabama QBs. You know what I'm saying? Bryce Young, Mac Jones, AJ McCarron, Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts is really good, but he's just inconsistent, bro. You feel me? Tua, you know what I'm saying? He's been inconsistent as well, and he's dealt with injuries. But, like, we just haven't really had that best of luck when it comes to QBs in the NFL as Alabama fan. Now, other positions, you know what I'm saying, especially wide receiver, bro, you know what I'm saying, we got that locked down. But it's just we've already just had problems with QBs, you know what I'm saying, developing them in the NFL. But let's go ahead and check this out.
Ever consider subbing in Andy Dalton for Bryce?
So Andy Dalton is the backup, okay.
Bryce is our quarterback. Bryce is our quarterback. We're going to just continue to...
Well, that changed.
He has been benched.
Okay, so
Bro, that changed extremely quick, gang.
NFL history, or hell, the biggest quarterback bust of just the last, like, 10 years or so. Guys like Zach Wilson, Mitchell Trubisky, Josh Rosen, all terrible football players, but one thing sets Bryce Young apart from them, and that's his cost. Bryce Young didn't come from an organic tank by the Panthers. Remember, David Tepper and Carolina bought him with cold, hard cash. And the only bust that's somewhat similar to Bryce Young in that regard is Trey Lance. Except it didn't even matter with that situation because the 49ers got their franchise quarterback anyways and actually had a competent team despite their miss on Lance.
I mean, Trey Lance just could never stay on the field, bro.
What happened to this man's career? Because at Alabama, remember, he wasn't anywhere near a flawless prospect, but he was taken over CJ Stroud for a reason. His athleticism was ridiculous, getting NFL comparisons to guys like Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson, but most of all, he was known as one of the smartest quarterbacks in the draft with an ability to make a highlight out of anything, and because of Patrick Mahomes, that magic play factor in a quarterback has become the most desirable trait you can ask for, and Bryce Young was supposed to have that. And so, the Panthers were convinced that Bryce Young was worth their future and finalized what is already going down as one of the worst trades in NFL history, as they gave away
Panthers got fleeced, man.
DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, and even more players and picks yet to be cashed in, all for just Bryce Young. Now, this is
Crazy.
already a ton of expectations on a young guy, especially someone who was thrown into the fire in year number 1, but his rookie season was just a disaster. The Panthers only won 2 games all year long. They went through 2 head coaches. Bryce Young was sacked 60 times,
bro,
most by any
out of
first
all
overall
pictures.
QB since David Carr, and he only threw 11 touchdowns all season long. He played in 16 games, started all but 1, and threw less touchdowns on the year than Joe Flacco.
That
That's
is
just the
actually
surface,
insane.
because pretty much every advanced stat in existence thinks he's one of the worst players to ever exist. In just 2023 alone, Bryce Young managed to have the lowest quarterback rating out of 32 guys and the lowest passer rating in the entire league. And once again, I hate to do this, but to compare him to Jamarcus Russell and Josh Rosen in their rookie seasons, Young's passer rating belongs right alongside them. And by year's end in 2023, according to this graph made by the folks at Legendary Upside, they make great content, by the way, give them a follow, Young was ranking out next to guys like Aiden O'Connell, Daniel Jones, and Zach Wilson in terms of expected points added per game. But still, going into 2024, all was not lost. And for a ton of different reasons, people, including myself, thought that things were going to get better for Bryce Young. But they just didn't. It's all we heard about Bryce Young all offseason, right? The Panthers were making great hires, most notably bringing in head coach Dave Canales, and reports were glowing that Bryce Young was keeping up with the new system remarkably fast, and all of a sudden, around August and July, we started seeing people defending Bryce Young's rookie season, and it all seemed pretty rational, all things considered. The Panthers receivers dropped a ton of balls. He had zero talent around him. Coaching was terrible. O-line was garbage. And yes, Bryce was pretty bad, but he showed flashes every now and then. And hell, he even outplayed CJ Stroud one-on-one earlier in 2023. So as long as he can bounce back and prove to be at least a B-tier quarterback in spurts, this shouldn't be a complete disaster. But the Carolina Panthers so far have been worse than anyone could have possibly imagined. And yes, it's just week 2 as of the recording of this video, but Bryce Young is unquestionably a bottom 5 quarterback, and dare I say bottom 1 once again. His EPA per game is still sitting
I
right
still
next
say
to
he's
Will
better than
Levis,
Daniel
Caleb
Jones.
Williams, and Bo Nix, and everything else has been a cataclysmic nightmare. Once again, I know it's just week 2, but who do you think has the least passing yards in the league with a minimum of 40 pass attempts? I mean, Bo Nix has been pretty bad, but no, it's Bryce Young, and Bo Nix has him beat by like 150 yards. Well, okay. Well, what about passer rating? Surely it's not. No. It's Bryce Young, again, with a passer rating of 44.1.
Damn.
Right? Surely he's at least thrown a touchdown this season, right? No? No, he hasn't? Okay. Well, the Panthers' offense, honestly, at this point would be more effective if they just punted every time they touched the ball at this point, because there's a higher chance the special team scores a touchdown than Bryce Young at this point. And
That is tough.
the film is even worse, man. It's scary. Coming off of a year where Bryce Young really struggled to read NFL defenses and was unable to blow the top off of defenses too, having the second worst deep completion percentage in the league with 23.9, only being in front of Mac Jones. His first pick was a 20-yard pass that went way over his guy.
Yeah, that shit was
So many more
crazy.
passes he threw in the Saints game were just sailing 10 yards over his receivers. He had no chemistry with anyone and was throwing passes almost like he couldn't even see where he was throwing. And despite losing by almost 50, the Panthers moved on to the Chargers and got embarrassed even harder, losing to a significantly worse team this time, with Bryce Young playing one of the worst games of his life, not even eclipsing 90 yards in a blowout loss where he threw multiple passes in double coverage and should honestly feel lucky he only threw 1 pick. It's just sad to see, though, because what if Bryce Young is still possibly a good quarterback? What if there's an alternate timeline out there where CJ Stroud was drafted by the Panthers and Bryce was taken by Houston, and instead Stroud's career was ruined while Bryce unlocked his potential? It's one of the NFL's biggest tragedies that always keeps coming back. Terrible teams getting high picks, ruining those players, and rinsing and repeating over and over again. Because at this point, Bryce Young's confidence is shot. Watching his interview after his Week 2 loss to the Chargers, his eyes, man, I mean, there's nothing there anymore. It does not look like he's having fun whatsoever doing his job, and getting scrutinized constantly is just going to weigh on the guy. I'd bet a lot of money he and the Panthers haven't even thought about a group touchdown celebration, and I know all I'm doing is piling onto the problem, but something needs to change on the field immediately. He only
Facts.
gets so many pats on the back from his coaches before eventually all the boos from the crowd and social media pressure start to set in, and he eventually just starts to believe he's not even a good NFL quarterback anymore. But unfortunately, It looks like David Tepper himself has made that decision for us. And we'll talk about that in a second. Don't worry, we will. But we've also seen busts in the past at quarterback, like Ryan Leaf and Christian Hackenberg talk about why they were busts, saying things like they weren't
Bro looks like
enough,
Drake
they weren't
May.
given the opportunity. But Bryce's case is different from those guys, but eerily similar to the Texans' David Carr, whose brother he just lost to, because for years, people held on to David Carr's talent, saying that he had all the tools to be great, but was ruined by terrible offensive line play in Houston, which is partly true, but there was also something people just couldn't accept about David, and that's, well, David Carr also wasn't good enough. And to me, that's what's happening with Bryce Young. If he was on a team like the 49ers or Chiefs, would he be a better player? Obviously the answer is yes, but deep down, when we watch the Panthers, we know that Bryce Young just doesn't have that X-factor ability that he was thought to possess, and I know it's a puny sample size, but just through 2 games, David Carr and Bryce Young's per-game average stats are a little bit too similar. Both throwing about 15 incompletions per game, not even a whole touchdown, more than a pick, and the scariest similarity of them all, their O-line and decision-making process just keeps getting them in trouble, as they're both getting sacked about 3 times a game, and once again, David Carr is not the guy you want to be compared to. And this is where it just keeps getting worse to me, because after week 2, Dave Canales went to bat for Bryce Young and said he's our quarterback, he's the guy for our future, but then a few hours later, he was announced to be benched, which has me worried that David Tepper's grubby fingerprints were all over this decision, because making the switch to Andy Dalton doesn't do anything in the long run whatsoever, except get you further from the number 1 pick. All it's going to do is maybe sell a few more tickets, and at this point, the Panthers' focus should be hoping Bryce Young has a better career than Jamarcus Russell, and even that's going to be a challenge.
Yo, why the fuck is he laying on the field like that?
One of the biggest busts ever counts on the success of the Bears over the next couple of years, just as much as his own. If Caleb Williams leads Chicago to even just a playoff win in the next half a decade with Bryce doing nothing of note, to me, that'll do it. That'll solidify not only this draft trade as one of the 3 to 5 worst trades ever, but Bryce Young as one of the worst busts in NFL history. Anyways, I know this was a little bit more of a somber video, but if you like this video, then subscribe. And if you did like this video, then may I recommend watching my Panthers video that I just did, where I just...
Hey, man, I want to know what you guys think about this, bro. Do y'all think that Bryce Young is going to be a bust, or is he already a bust? You know what I'm saying? Like I said at the beginning of the video, bro, like, I just don't think that he is a bust, bro. I just think it's all about, you know what I'm saying, situation and timing and shit, bro. Because I feel like if he was on another team, you know what I'm saying, he would be a lot better. But since he's on the Panthers, bro, he just looks absolutely horrific, bro. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos y'all want me to react to. Without further ado, I'm out. Yeah!